Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Radical Geek live stream. Just getting kind of situated this evening. I am so tired that I'm like super scattered. So who knows how it's going to go tonight, but we'll give it a good shot. And at least I get to chat with you all. Uh, I see that our friend Auntie's here. Sky, hey, it's good to see that you made it. Ooh, what's your favorite cigar? I see that you're having that and a bang. Oh, 90 degrees. I'm so envious. So, hi, Swang. Good to see you. And let's see, the warden is joined us. Yeah, and excited to see the Disco Pony coffee. We'll talk about the difference between the Disco Pony and Disco coffee in a minute. So let's see. Oh yeah. Oh, and Sky is having some technical difficulties. Why it's not auto-populating. If you are mobile, it doesn't auto-populate, but if you are on the computer, then it does. So that might be the difference, or at least on Android, it doesn't auto-populate. So it's a real pain doing that. So, oh, and Hungry he says he's super excited. Just ordered new underoos for the cruise. Oh, when we were growing up, we had the Star Wars. So I had my C-3PO, and he's still my favorite. So now I wish I could get those again. I would totally rock me some C-3PO underoos. So tonight, I don't even know how I'm functioning. I want to go to bed, but this should help. So tonight, I'm going to make a drink called the Disco Pony. This came out of Broadcast for Coffee Roasters in I can't remember which year it was. It was like the late 80s, early 90s, out of Broadcast Coffee Roasters in Seattle. So, of course, Seattle, our coffee hub of awesomeness. So, this is called a Disco Pony, and it's an iced coffee drink. Completely different from what is a more traditional disco coffee. A disco coffee would be a warm steamed milk with a coffee carefully layered on top of it. So it has like the top is the dark coffee and then it's the steamed milk underneath. The Disco Pony is all kinds of fun and wild craziness. So it does start with espresso, which we'll start setting up here. Let's see, I see Exchange Student 2 has joined us and Ryquin is here. Awesome. Let's see. And what else we got? Just lots of hellos and good evenings to everybody. Lots of happy Mother's Days. Which, yes, I figured since it was Mother's Day and I'm a mother who has managed to bring a child up into adulthood to they're moving out on their own in August. So I'm just going to celebrate it up 100%. We're going to have a big old dessert with a big old crazy coffee drink. So let's see. Wish I hadn't done that. Well, that's all right. I'm going to put my espresso together. Oh, and Sky, you detest coffee? That's all right. Like I said, we do tea. You don't have to drink coffee to appreciate getting knowledge. You never know. You might go to a special event where there are coffee lovers or, have a really good friend who's into coffee. So learning about coffee is always a useful skill. So with your espresso, it's good if you weigh and all of that jazz, but we're not doing that tonight because it's not 100% crucial because we're adding a lot of stuff to the coffee. My green screen will screw it up. It's the Supremo Bustelo. So that's my favorite for espresso. Just set that aside. But if you get a nice pile on here, and somewhere is my tamper that I was literally just holding in my hand. And what did I do with it? Well, that's annoying. It was literally just here a second ago. All right then. We'll tamp it down the hard way, I guess, and I will use my spoon. That perplexes me. How does something just disappear off the table? Very odd. All right. So the important thing is we're going to give it a good tamp. Using a tamper is the better, more appropriate and proper thing to do. But not having that is not the end of the world. you can totally make do, and you'll just have to, you'll make sure it's all good and compressed. Like I said, it was definitely better to have like an actual tamper. That's gonna drive me crazy, you guys. What the heck did I do with it? Well, it is what it is. Can't be helped. That's, things go wrong. I'll find it like right after the stream someplace really dumb. Like, why did I set it there? Just in case I put it in with... Nope. Just double checking. Alright, so anyways, but once you compress your coffee or your espresso, which is a super, super fine grind, way fine, it's a special grind. It's basically like the texture of baby powder. But you get that, it'll almost half the volume in your espresso brewer. So, and I've already heated up my espresso maker. And you have to give that a good shove to make it go and tighten up. Let me clean up where I've spilled some coffee grounds real quick. I told you I was tired after the convention. And I will say, I'm in great shape by comparison to many people on there. Oh, my tamper was right here. Look at that. Thanks, Attila. You guys, I told you, it's going to be chaos tonight. I am barely functional. So, hey, J-Dog, good to see that you've joined us. Where else are we at? So, and Blue Dub is here, ear hustling while they eat steak with the kiddos. That sounds great. We got barbecue, and it was fantastic. I had the full cut brisket and some smoked turkey and a really big smoked sausage. So I was really happy. It was an OMAD kind of day. Oh, the warden worked 9 hours today. But yeah, working from home certainly makes it, when it's terrible, a much better option. Since Attila found the tamper for me, can I tell you, that means that I looked at it like 10 times and still missed it. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this is really in. There we go. Much better. That really makes it nice and smoother. You can always improvise when you have to, but there we go. I've got my little pitcher here to brew into. And as you can see, Dyson's like he cannot believe that I was gone for 2 days and I came home and now I'm in the studio where he's forbidden. So. Oh, Sky says it was like a Where's Waldo adventure and Attila wins. So. But no, it was actually behind the waffle maker, so we're just going to put it where it belongs, right on top of the espresso maker. I'm going to go ahead and brew. As you guys may recall, when we use the espresso machine, the sound goes wonky for a minute. So I'm going to just let it brew, and then I'll shut up for a moment. So put some fun stuff in the comments, and we'll catch up after that. I'm going to do a double shot. So. All right, so there we go. It's almost done. It's doing like the last little drips through. If you don't remember from when we've been making espresso, that's a high pressure steam, minimum of 9 bars, and often like the professional espresso makers will go up to 16 to 19 bars. So really high pressure, and that's why it often has more than one nozzle, so that it helps minimize channeling, which is a bad thing to happen to your espresso. But let's see. Alan Strong is asking if I talked about my last con yet, and the answer is not yet. We'll talk about it in a minute. So J-Dog's making disco jokes, which is awesome. So Blue Dove says they don't detest coffee, but they prioritize continence above it, which, yeah, I remember you mentioning that you had some problems with it. And then Sky says their partner is Cuban, so and born in Havana, so they make Cuban coffee a number of times a week, and it looks like syrup. Yeah, Cuban coffee is like super extra strong. I can't remember which comedian it was, but they talked about once when they got a show in Miami, and they went down there and had the Cuban coffee, and they were surprised that it came in the little teeny cup, and they asked for more, and even though they were telling him like, no, that's a plenty of coffee, but he insisted because he was making an ass of himself. And so then they brought him one, and when he tried to drink it, he had to like suffer through and really suck it down because of the big fuss he had made, and what a huge mistake that was. So listen to staff when they tell you things about your foods, because they're probably not wrong. So I have my espresso, and here's what's weird about the disco coffee is it is an iced beverage, a layered beverage, and all of my ingredients here are my espresso. I have cream. Original disco coffee out of Seattle is milk, but you know, we're keto and I don't want to waste extra carbs on milk. I like to waste my carbs on other fun things. So I've got cream. So we're going to start with the first layer. And so it's still a layered coffee, even though we're going to mix it. And that's my espresso. And then you add your cream. I brought way too much cream, but I don't know why I brought so much cream. You give this first a mix to lighten it up. It's a very light beverage. And I don't mean like in taste. It's a very rich beverage, but the milk, it's a high milk to espresso ratio. Here's the fun part. The next ingredient is your carbonated mineral water. And you top that off. And then we get our fizz, which brings your foam to the top. And I know on camera, I don't know that you could really see it that well, but on camera, but in real life, you can see now that it has divided. It gets a darker, a lighter, and then a foam top from the fizz. So like a soda fizz drink, but only instead of the ice cream or the soda syrup with the carbonated, or the egg drink, I can't remember what the one with the egg is called, the chocolate soda. It's coffee. And then the very last part of the disco coffee is this lemon, which I know it's going to have weird things from the green screen, but this is a lemon twist, which is a piece of the lemon zest in one long piece. And for the lemon twist, you more successfully than me most of the time is you're supposed to curl it up, and it just becomes the garnish on the drink, and the zest of the peel adds to a little tiny bit of the citrus into the drink. And that is the disco pony. So let me go back now and we can go through the comments, because I really just was like, that's a lot of things to put together. And so it kind of just had to happen in one big swoop. So we brewed our espresso. We poured the espresso over the ice, added in our cream, and then topped it with the sparkling mineral water. Broadcast Coffee Roasters beverage, they specifically use Perrier. I have San Pellegrino. I know that if you ask the makers of Perrier and San Pellegrino, they will tell you their beverages are different, but they are the same thing. They just have a different source for where they get the water before they carbonate it. So I don't feel bad about using a San Pellegrino. And there we go. Give it a little mix. It's super good. Let's see. I never expect it to be good when you add the soda water in there because it seems like such a strange ingredient. But um, soda, sparkling water in coffee is actually really fantastic. And if you have the sparkling water and you pour it into your espresso, that's actually a drink called an espressoda. So I know it wasn't real clever there when they decided to call it that, but whatever. And it is really good. So let's see what we're doing next. Let's go back here. Oh, Hungry Heath says he couldn't chat or because he's eating, and that's fine too. Let's see. We talked about the Cuban coffee. I love Cuban coffee though, but yeah, it is super strong. It is delicious though for me. Part of it though is I have to be careful. I can't just order it in restaurants because it's already sweetened. They'll make it for you without the sweetener, but then you get the judging look. I have taken sweetener before and asked them to sub in and used my preferential treatment sweetener, but some places will say yes and other places will say no because they're not supposed to use outside food, etc., etc. So it's one of the few times that I will go ahead and be okay with packets, and I usually get like the whole earth monk fruit packs, because that's a mix of the monk fruit and the erythritol, and I still prefer liquid for sweetener, but if it's already in the pack and it's sealed, they're a lot more likely to use that if you really have a sweet preference. So, and oh yeah, and Sky is talking about that right now, about how much sugar goes into the Cuban coffee. So, an exchange student says they made themselves a keto dessert yesterday, the rhubarb muffin by All Day I Dream About Food. So, but today it's giving them tummy rumbles. Oh yeah, a lot of the keto sweeteners can do that. That's another reason that I don't like to use too much of the powdered ones. Once in a while, if I think that the actual bulk from the sweetener is going to impact a recipe, I'm fine with going ahead and using it. But most of the time, I will just use liquid sweetener or pass on the sweetener altogether. So let's see, what do we have next? Oh, hey, Lisa. Lisa's joined us. Says she's glad she didn't miss that. She's always wanted to try this drink. It's stupid tasty. It sounds so wrong, but it is really good. Let's see, what else do we got here? Oh, and the warden says they usually cut sweetener in half when they use the powdered sweeteners, and that makes sense too. J-Talk says 4 to 5 bars is perfect for the best cellular reception. Coffee equals a cell phone. So, I'm not sure what Ralphie means. I don't know if I missed something for that reference or if I'm just not getting it because I'm tired. So you'll have to explain what Ralphie May is. That came from Hungry Heath. Let's see. J-Dog says check it out. J-Dog adds that he takes the Cuban coffee black and then adds his whole earth sweetener. Samesies. I also was just talking about the whole earth sweetener, so that's perfect. So, and Gigi's here. Says good evening and happy Mother's Day to everyone. So, and says Sky could maybe try Swerve. Swerve is an option as well. I will say that the Cuban coffee, if you make it right and you add in just a couple drops of the liquid monk fruit, it's pretty good. It's not as good as the actual sugar drink because that does contribute to its syrupiness, but it's really not bad. And if you don't mind the powdered stuff, you can use confectioner's allulose. So, finely powdered. And that will actually work up the same way as sugar in the Cuban coffee, but it's not as sweet. And Sky is talking about the fact that it's usually hand beaten in the cup that you drink it from. The amount of non-traditional sweeteners would radically change how it comes out. It does. That's not incorrect, but you have to learn, you give and take. And if you're not So if it's something that you want to have, and you have to learn where to make your compromises. For some people, for a lot of people, that compromise would be to simply not have it anymore. But for other people, you do what you got to do. So let's see. Oh, I lost track here. Oh, CJ Dog saying once again. He's saying the same thing. Well, if there's a will, there's a way. Same with Turkish coffee, very sweet but tasty. Yeah, and well, we did Turkish coffee was our very first. Our second brew on the live streams, wasn't it? Yeah, and we did use the sweetener, artificial sweetener in the Turkish coffee versus the sugar that they would normally do. And the warden is asking me how much sparkling water did you add? I don't know. I just poured until it was too full. Ideally, I would have maybe thought to put a little bit less ice in here so I could have even more. I wouldn't even object to topping it off with a little more sparkling water, but it was good enough. I did a double shot of the espresso because I'm so run down, and I don't think I've had like enough actual coffee over the last couple days. So I do think that maybe my ice to espresso ratio was a little off and it could use more sparkling water. But once you put your espresso over the ice and then you get the milk content, it's just filled to the top with the sparkling water. So it's not necessarily an exact measurement. Mostly because of the volume of the ice. Let's see. Raikkonen says technically they're both sparkling water, but I prefer Raikkonen prefers San Pellegrino over Perrier. I do prefer to drink the San Pellegrino, but they are it's basically the source because they are both carbonated mineral water. And from a nutrition standpoint, the minerals are the same. It's just where the original water source came from before they carbonated it. So. Oh, exchange student says they have a Topo Chico, but they don't care for the non-flavored ones. You know what? I didn't used to, and I think I just acquired a taste for it, and now I prefer non-flavored. So I don't know. It's one of those things change over time items for me. Let's see. Sky says he does that with tequila as well. It sounds weird, and almond sipping tequila with a splash of cream and Topo Chico is awesome. I'll keep that in mind. I often don't find that I like dairy with my liquor, and I don't know where I got that strange aversion from. I don't know if I drank too much of something when I was like in college and it didn't sit well or what, but like now I just don't. But who knows? Let's see. All right, and then Sky reminds us all that it's because he doesn't like coffee, so this is more entertainment. Which leads me, though, to the... Wow, we've really been chatty. Let's see. Oh, and the wardens... Let's see. Air Fry Annie says they're going to do some of the packing things, because you all are going to abandon us and go on the cruise, which I just... Man, I am so jealous. Oh, Blue Dove is asking for our cruise experts, the warden and Hungry Heath, if they know of the weight limit or bag number limit for the cruise. Oh, an exchange student too says they are out of the lemon keto chow because they didn't even think they would like it, but it makes amazing waffles. That's because it's called lemon meringue, but I'm telling you that lemon meringue keto chow is not lemon meringue. It is lemon loft house cookies, which in the Midwest, they're these giant cookies with this big blob of super sugary confectionery frosting on top. But that cookie is like one of those melt in your mouth cookies. And that is what that lemon meringue keto chow reminds me of. So I really love it. But I don't think it was like the tart that comes with lemon meringue. Oh, Reichwin says there's a sparkling mineral water named Ozarka, and got it from Walmart. It's really good, but super gas. Do not open the bottle unless it's cold. Oh yeah, so it's one of those that will shoot out all over. And Sky says that they found out way too late to arrange it. So, yeah, a little bit of FOMO. Lots of FOMO here, but that's all right. There are lots of things. So, our recipe tonight comes from Cristy Davis from the Keto Village. So if you're not in the Keto Village group with Cristy Davis, it's super cool on Facebook. She also has a YouTube where she does a lot of things, but she has been experimenting with making chaffle and waffle bowls. You can look up on the Keto Chow Facebook support group for Marie Campos's Keto Chow brownie recipe. She made those brownies into one of the waffle bowls. Then she moved on to Savory Keto Chow and made a savory bowl. And I was like, I could do savory or sweet. And I like both. So I might do her savory version tomorrow and combine it with stuff. But I thought we would experiment with her recipe and go the sweet route today. So I also have the mini dash where I think she has the full, a larger version, because hers actually has like a waffle shape. And I'm going to be careful because it's hot. I plugged it in already. But this one is it's smaller and it has little teeny cubes as opposed to the big waffle pattern. It's a much smaller waffle pattern. So I'm also having the ingredients that she used. It starts with some butter. Hers was 2 tablespoons. I'm using 1, and I had a little extra butter in here because she put some on the waffle maker. So I want to make sure I have the ability to do that as well. So we'll set that there. There's an egg. And we'll just toss that in here. So 1 egg and your fat. The next ingredient is a half a teaspoon of gelatin. And this is the unflavored beef gelatin that we use in a lot of things. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that in. So let's get that out of the way. It's a chaffle, so there's cheese. I'm using mozzarella. Now, I've mentioned this before. When I make my chaffles, instead of the shredded mozzarella, I whiz the mozzarella up in a bullet blender and make it this little teeny tiny, fluffy snow sort of texture. And that I find has been a better texture in my chaffles, and it melts a little bit better in the maker. It's probably only supposed to be 1 tablespoon, but I added a little extra because it's not big chunky shreds, and I'm winging it here. So we'll see. What's the worst thing that can happen, right? The worst thing that can happen is that it gets stuck in there and we don't have a bowl at all, and I just eat pudding and we'll be fine. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this will work out just dandy. And then I have chocolate keto chow. It's only a tablespoon. Need a clean tablespoon, not one that has cheese, of the keto chow. And that's your flavor. And that's why it worked when she did the savory. I saw her, she's used the beef base, and I think she's used the chicken before. They all look really good. So I think that we will love to experiment with Cristy's bowls. But let me just get this out of the way again. I warned you guys. We are tired, so everything is so scattered. So do ask questions when you have them. because I know I'm not being as thorough as maybe we could be. Possibly I'm going too fast or skipping things. So let's see, what do we got here? Okay, and J-Dog says there's no bag limit for the cruise, but airlines are 50 pounds. Yes, that's important. I will say one thing that I learned traveling is that I often used to take an extra bag with just like a couple little things in it that I would check so that I could, and that when I was traveling wherever I would go, then I would have that extra bag to fill up. And even though it costs more to have a second bag on some airlines, there are airlines that already give you 2 bags, and that could keep my shopping, instead of cramming it into the one, could be divided up, and then I would be under the 50-pound limit. However, I've gone to some events where I've done enough shopping or brought too many things, then had to ship part of it back because the shipping was cheaper than paying the overage at the airlines. Let's see here. Oh, and Hungry He says to get the soda package on the cruise because they only allow 1 6-pack per cabin. Wow. So, and J-Dog says, yes, they also got the soda package. Let's see. Hoping for Diet Dr. Pepper. We're going to skip that comment. So let's see. Oh, and the warden reiterates there's no weight or luggage limit for the cruise, but there is for the airlines, and that's your limiter. Oh, the warden says they also just made a disco pony. Awesome. How do you like it? It's pretty funky, but it's pretty good. All right. So this is basically, it just makes me think of your classic Chaffle, but only going to be more awesome because it's going to be in a bowl. And like I said, with the Keto Chow, I want to experiment with it maybe a little bit more because this one has gelatin, which is not something I've put into one of these recipes before. And so I'm interested in how that works out here in in practice, because it's different and it doesn't have the baking powder, which is something I almost always include. So when I try these out a little bit more tomorrow, I'm going to try with the baking powder and without the baking powder and compare the results. But for the most part, you just give it a good mix, and we're going to let it sit for just a second for everything to meld together. But like I said, there was nothing too elaborate about it, but it just looks so awesome that I knew that, and I also knew that I couldn't do an elaborate recipe because even with this having been just like a teeny tiny nothing con, I knew that regardless, just being around people is enough to wear me down these days. And I'm not wrong. Plus, I was way outside my normal sleeping pattern. I actually stayed up till like 1 o'clock both nights in a row, which I think you all know. I am like 105 years old, so I eat my supper at 3 o'clock and am in bed by 9. So that was a significant change. So there we go. And so here's my batter. And of course it looks a little lumpy because of the little cheese grades, but you can see it's just like your regular Chaffle batter. It's scoopable. It's not real thin and runny. It will drop off, but in a lump. It's very thick. It's not a pour batter. It's a spoonful batter. The gelatin's definitely got it that with a good texture between the gelatin and the cheese, and then the Keto Chow to flavor it up. It's possible that some of you may want to add a little sweetener to it if you really are into sweet stuff. Oh, and the warden says they don't overpack. There's a lot more to talk about the cruise because y'all are going on it. Oh, and J-Dog says it was Southwest. Bags fly free, 2 bags per person. Yep. And then, let's see. Oh, I kind of lost track here in all of the cruise talk. So, oh, and the warden says they do like the disco pony. It's really good. Yeah. So, congratulations, yay, Broadcast Roasters! You really did a winner. I'm sorry we're not in Seattle, or we would just go to your shop. But excellent when we can do these. I just dropped my lemon right in there to see if it flavors it up. So, yeah, it's very tasty. I don't have any regrets whatsoever making the disco pony. So, all right, I'm ready with this chaffle bowl. And I've got my mini dash maker. So, here goes nothing. Oh, that's right. I'm supposed to rub it with the fat. She used some bacon fat with the one that was going to be the savory chaffle. So that's probably something to note. I think that would taste really good. And one of the chaffles that she made, she just layered in bacon and then put the batter on top of the bacon. And I thought that was like some genius thinking there. That would be great with to make a breakfast scrambled egg bowl. So let's see what happens. We've closed it up. I just scooped it in there. So Sky's asking if I'm using just a tablespoon of KC. How do I figure the macros for that? So I'm on my vacation, so I didn't really pay a lot of attention. On a regular time, if I were... Oh dear, it's really rising up crazy. I put too much batter in there. It's going to be very, very, very interesting. Hopefully it's not going to overflow. At any rate, where was I? Oh yeah, so normally I would actually just weigh it out so that I could do the calculations by grams. As you know, each serving of keto chow, most of them are pretty much close to 46 grams, and so your tablespoon would be X amount of grams. I would just weigh it out and then calculate the macros manually that way. Today, I'm not really caring, so that's pretty much all there is to it. Now we have to wait. I should have put this in sooner instead of just running my mouth, but it is a live stream, so talking is awesome. So, J-Dog says the Disco Pony's big brother is the Disco Inferno. I don't have a coffee drink called the Disco Inferno, but maybe we'll have to make one. Ooh, and I have an idea. So let's see. J-Dog's making Saturday Night Fever references. You know, at one of the parties they played Staying Alive this weekend, and I was super happy. Oh, air frying auntie says macros, laughs out loud. She was answering the questions out loud here. Oh, air frying Annie says the only carbonated thing that they have to add to their cold coffee is a bang. I don't think you should put your bang into the coffee. That sounds like too many flavors. And this had a lot of flavors. So, Oh, and the warden says they're not a fan of Southwest Airlines. I'm super curious about that because Southwest Airlines is like one of my favorites. But I don't know why. I'm so curious now as to what made you not like Southwest Airlines. And then, and Sky says they do tend to cook by weight for the most part, so that makes sense. Yeah, it's usually pretty easy. Like I said, I'm so strict 95% of the time, and then that 5% of the time, I'm just like, forget it. But that's what makes this a sustainable thing for me, is being able to go off a little bit once in a while. And by go off, I don't ever go outside of a ketogenic. I just maybe go more, and I don't go more on carbs. I just have more food in general. I keep hearing notices on my phone, and I forgot to turn the volume off, so you might be getting bings. It's the other con. Man, the chat is really lively for a con that's not until January, but there are a lot of messages flying back and forth. So, oh, and Lisa says a taco salad in the savory waffle sounds really good. I agree, but I'm very excited about making myself a breakfast bowl. I'm thinking if I made a savory uh, chicken bowl with the bacon bits in it, and then you made your scrambled eggs with the cheddar cheese. You could use your cheddar cheese, your extra sharp cheddar cheese in the Chaffle bowl too. That would blend well. Add some spice to it, some good chili flakes. I think that could be really spectacular. Oh, J-Dog was saying the Disco Inferno adds spicy chili powder in it. Thinking of the movie Chocolat as the... Oh, because they were adding... Oh, in the movie, when they added chili powder to the hot cocoa. Yeah, that could work. Actually, in my mind, I was thinking about doing an allulose candied jalapeno garnish. And Sky says they're a lot more intuitive when eating animal proteins, but when things like Keto Chow are added, I like to keep track. That makes sense. They certainly can sneak up on you from a carbohydrate standpoint. So, okay, there's still a lot of steam coming off, so I'm going to let it keep cooking for a minute. But I'll tell you the rest of what I've got here is my banana pudding. And now this was properly measured and weighed out, but I didn't type the macros up yet. And I didn't bring it down here, my chronometer. But it made basically 5 servings, which is what the pudding usually makes for me. I do use the almond milk to lighten it up a little bit. It is 10 hard-boiled eggs, 1 serving of Keto Chow, a light splash of banana extract, and then you whir it up in the blender until the all of the egg is completely obliterated. And as you can see, it's thick. It's a light pasty yellow, and it comes out really great. I do think, again, if you like things a little bit sweeter, a little bit of sweetener or a couple sweetener drops will boost the flavor. I'm going to check on this. Oh, you guys, it's awesome. Check it out. It definitely worked out great. So there we go. My little waffle bowl. So pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, I can be thrilled with that. And it's a nice boost of protein. And again, so like the pudding, like I said, it's 1 serving of Keto Chow divided up amongst 5 servings. And then it's 12 ounces of the almond milk. I use the silk almond milk from the carton. I do like the coconut milk from the can, but then it boosts up the macros in it so that it's almost like a meal. And I don't want a whole meal. I want a side dish. So, but I just think it's pretty good. And like I said, with the eggs in it, that really gives it a nice protein boost. And the other thing that I have here is I made some stabilized whipped cream. If you don't know what stabilized whipped cream is, it's cream and you add a little sprinkle of gelatin powder into it, and then you whip it up together, and as it chills, the whipped cream doesn't break down. Like, you see how long we've been in here, and it's still fluffy. I would say be cautious, because you want to make sure that you don't put too much gelatin, because then it gets a weird texture. You still want it to have whipped cream texture, which it does. But you don't want it to deflate, which fresh whipped cream deflates relatively easily. So, in case you're curious, it did make a nice little crispy bowl. So it's not waffle cone crispy, but it is nice and firm and got a little bit of that crunch on the outside. At the same time, it's also a little bit of that interior cakey texture. And Sky is asking if I've used lightly scrambled eggs instead of hard boiled. And yes, I have. But I am lazy. And sometimes I do buy the hard boiled eggs from Costco because they are organic, cage free eggs. And they are just packed in water. So they don't have any additives to them. So it does not fall privy to having a side taste of vinegar, which is what Maria Emmerich says is the problem with using the prepackaged eggs. It doesn't do that. And so they have zero smell from the package. And that works great for me. So toss this in here, make my little bowl. So, but I did think the chocolate and the banana would play off really nicely together in a cute little dessert. And like I said, so it's really a high protein. It's got decent nutrients. The carbs come from basically the keto chow, which is not terrible. And I'm not eating the whole serving of the pudding because it fills up pretty quick. Get this out of the way. Set my little spoon here. And like I said, maybe the whipped cream is probably a lot for some people, but it really was like it was like 2 ounces of cream and a 1/4 teaspoon, if that, of the gelatin. So there we go. So happy Mom's Day. I am not sad at all. And of course, as you recall, I am keto for my seizure control. And that actually does require the higher fat version. I'm not trying to cut back on my fat or things like that. So I'm not worried about that for a one-off dessert, especially where the macros are basically really good for me. I don't have the exact ones. After this post tomorrow, I can always update the description and get all of that in there. Oh, and let's see. We've got the warden says no nonstop flight from Phoenix to Orlando. Wow, that's a long flight, but nonstop is awesome. I used to get stuck going from California to New York, and the 2 stops always Atlanta and then Newark. Dang it, Newark every single time. Oh, and Sky says they like the mozzarella trick that perhaps the grinding will help with their with some texture issues. And I do. I think that blending it like that really makes a huge difference in the chaffles. The taste is not different, but yeah, I think that it does make a better textured chaffle. And I'm going to go ahead and put the batter in. And just go ahead and finish this off. It does seem like I'm getting 2 chaffles or 2 chaffle bowls. I'm not eating this chaffle bowl tonight. This one can be for tomorrow. It is too much batter. I probably could have made 3 of these with the ingredients. So that's probably something to note. Let's see. Yeah, I definitely overfilled it the second time. Had I made put a little, lesson learned though, a little less batter the first time, and then, well, actually just divide the batter into 3. If you have the mini dash, it's 3 chaffles. If you have the larger one, like Cristy's, which is the red one, it's 2. She said she was making 2, which is why I also thought 2, but I think mine might be a little smaller because it's really rising a lot. So let's see. Oh, the Reichwin says it was worth every penny. They left at 4 a.m. from New York and was in Amsterdam in like 3.5 hours with a good tailwind that day. The best first class. They brought mimosas to you on the plane. Yeah, I do like when I get upgraded to first class, but often it's cost prohibitive. So, ooh, now I super extra overfilled it. I may wind up with a waffle bowl issue. And Sky's verifying is if this is the mini dash. Yes, this is the mini dash. It is the waffle bowl. I've been wanting to buy the one that's the pie maker, although I don't really have any good reason to do that. And I only have a ton of these mini dashes. Sky says he's looking to getting one, but there are choices. Yeah, but the red one has gone up in price a lot, so you'd probably want to watch for it on sale. And this one being smaller than the one that Cristy has makes these cute little bowls. So, I don't know. You might need both just to get one and then the other later as your mini dash collection begins. By the way, banana pudding is one of my very favorites. And technically, this is banana bread pudding because I added a dash of cinnamon to it and it kind of gives it that little flavor. Waffle bowl is a winner. Cristy is really creative in the kitchen. And I really love that. And she really does a lot of cool stuff with the Keto Chow, which I find very inspirational. Oh, and Sky says they like them because they live in an RV, so space is limited. Yeah, that would do it. If you have a space in your RV where you can tuck away a small, one of those over-the-door shoe racks, the ones that are like it's like plastic vinyl, and it's the pockets. You put that in, and you can put your little mini dashes in there, and they store up, and it definitely saves up some room. But I don't know if all your little spaces might be filled up by things. Yeah, it does eat like, and Sky says it looks like it eats like a hand pie or tart. I probably need to use the spoon once I get a little bit into it, but yeah, it's great. I'm looking forward to breakfast now because I'm going to do the savory one, and that's going to be spectacular. So when you guys all go on this cruise, how many of you have purchased access so that we can see pictures? I know that Hungry Heath and the Warden did, but I'm just curious because that's really what I'm looking for, is to see how the experience is. I actually haven't gone on a cruise, so this would be a new one for me. The only other cruises that I really considered was way back in the day. There used to be an Atkins cruise, which I thought sounded appealing, but the other cruise that I've really looked at is a gaming cruise. And the gaming cruise is also very appealing. It could even probably, I'm sorry because I do love you guys a ton, but the gaming cruise could possibly edge out a keto cruise. I say possibly because I do get to go to a lot of gaming conventions and I don't get to go to a lot of keto conventions. So just that my will is weak. And Sky's asking if it's crunchy. And I'm not sure. I know that sounds strange. I'm going to go with it's got a crunch to it, but it's also cakey at the same time. If that makes sense. Probably not. But yeah. There are little bits of it where it's crunchy, but I would go more with like a cakey texture with a crispy exterior. Hungry Heath says he wanted to go on his cruise as well as the cruise of Jericho. Oh, wow, that would have been amazing too. Lisa says she's ordering the dash right now from Bed Bath & Beyond with the 20% off coupon and in-store pickup. Smart thinking. Let's see if I can get this one out. Now, this one's not as crispy on the edges because of how over full it was. But that's okay because in the morning, well, I say in the morning or whenever I decide to eat it tomorrow, it will, I'm going to throw it in the toaster oven to rewarm it, and that will crisp up the edge. But this part is all fine, so not bad at all. I'm going to set it here on my espresso maker because there's air vents on it. And then I'm going to unplug the dash so I can take it up. Set this up here so it can cool down. And that's it for the dessert and, of course, our awesome disco pony. So what else can we share tonight? So I feel like I've been not quite nerdy enough lately. So, it's really good. I'm so happy. Everything is so delicious tonight, and it's like so over the top. So definitely doing like a spoiled Mother's Day thing for myself. How about some fun espresso things? So I don't think I've shared that before. Espresso is the name given to the drink, but it's also the brew process. So you're making espresso, the drink, but the process of the brew is also espresso. Espresso has been around for over 100 years. 100 years. Can you believe that they were able to get like at least 9 bars of pressure 100 years ago? Super cool. So I wish I had thought of that fact because at the convention I was at, they were doing a changes in science from the first Marcon to the current Marcon, and that's a 57-year span. So I would have liked to have mentioned that over the 100 years, we've been making our espresso. So I just find that very hilarious. Espresso, translating from Italian to English, is literally to express, which is that process of expressing the liquid through by the bars of pressure. Blue Dove says they did not get an internet package, but they plan to stick close to Heath and Shelley. Seems good to me. Oh, and Lisa says it's that at Bed Bath & Beyond that they're paying about $16 because they're using the coupon. So that's not bad at all, really. I have to buy a new waffle mini dash. I thought I had 2 waffle makers, but for some reason I have 2 of the griddles, which I never use. And one of the griddles, the hinge mechanism has started to fail. And my kid uses them, so I probably will replace it and then give them the griddles when they move out this August. I don't know. We'll see. J-Dog says espresso yourself. Air Fryer and Auntie says they did get the internet package. And J-Dog said they did not get the Wi-Fi. That's fine. So, 25 cents to eavesdrop, Hungry Heath says. Oh, you're funny. So, let's see. What else about espresso? Espresso is popular as a base for specialty drinks. Ta-da! So you'll find that espresso actually is going to be a feature in several of the next live streams. So, but it's only the base, not the feature of the drink. So I think that's a good fact to have. And let's see. Espresso has a slightly higher fat content than brewed coffee. And that is because of the filters. When you have the micro filter or the double layered papers, it removes more of the oils from the beans while it's brewing, and that's a bonus. But the direct grind and the pressure going through removes a little less. It's not enough to make a difference in your daily macros, but it's just one of those weird little facts about the coffee. Just, or at least I think it's interesting. And when you talk about a single shot of espresso, uh, one of those weird nerd facts that I read online somewhere. Usually, for a single shot, uh, when you weigh it out, the amount of grams on average would be about 42 beans. So, how many times do I gotta say it? Coffee is life. 42. It's the meaning of life. Coffee. Last time we talked about it, we talked about the, coffee and its relations to coffee is love. So, hey, life, love, and happiness. Welcome to coffee. I'm just going to justify it any way I can, even though I don't have to, because I'm an adult who can just have coffee whenever the heck I want. So, any other questions? I will tell you that now that it's sitting, the waffle is getting a little softer and slightly less crispy, but not soggy or anything like that. Just, which is fine. That's normal. I mean, that happens with waffles too, regular waffles. And Sky finishes the universe and everything. So, and lots of chat here about we all really like the 42 beans thing. And Air Fryer Andy says they accept that justification. So, okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the convention before I sign off and go to bed. So, the convention we went to is called Marcon. It's a small sci-fi convention. Now, I will say it hasn't been my favorite convention for a while because they've had a lot of struggles, and its heyday has kind of gone by. And in theory, this was the last Marcon, but there are a few people who are not ready to let it go. And so they've talked with the people who own the convention, and they very enthusiastically say they're going to take it over and they're going to grow it and all that stuff. I don't know the individuals very well who are taking it over. I don't know if they understand what a big undertaking that actually would be. But hey, whatever. The main reason I go to this convention is because I know people who have gone to it for years and years and years. There's a lot of nostalgia. And I pretty much don't really do the convention so much as just visit with a few people that I know. And then we have like a party in our hotel room, which is better than many of the things at the convention. But I did actually have some good things at the convention this year because I went to a Babylon 5 panel where they talked about the upcoming reboot. And that's something I really enjoy. And a friend of mine was one of the people speaking on the panel about the changes in history. So that's pretty cool. And Sky's asking if it's a cosplay con or just a sci-fi info fandom. So it is it is cosplay. There's tons of cosplay. Although like now it's so tiny that whereas it used to be several thousands of people, now it's a few hundred people. So really think a very small, intimate kind of convention. I'm just trying to think for a minute. Yeah, so I did really enjoy that part. I really did, and I really liked seeing some of the people that I got to see. And their special guest for the Harp Twins, which I mentioned on another stream that I logged into earlier in the weekend. It might have been Hungry Heath's and Shelly Eats Steaks on their awesome Friday Night Live, where I mentioned that's what I was doing. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to their concert, but I did get to talk to them outside of the concert, and I went to a panel where they were talking, and they're super, super awesome people. So it was really good. It was great. And I did indulge in a glass of Chardonnay at the party while everybody else was like getting completely smashed. So I relaxed and I had myself my nice little Chardonnay that I nursed all night by continually adding ice to it and watering it down. And that was perfect for me because, I can't really have alcohol in the big party, rip roaring drunk day. Like, like we used to pre-keto. Pretty much a small glass of Chardonnay is my complete and total limit, and I'm okay with that. Oh, the other thing that there was something I was going to tell you about that, and it's totally gone. Oh well. Air Fry Nanny says crafting hazard. They had a googly eye stuck to their toe, and you're not even using the googly eyes. That's awesome. Oh, and Sky says they're one of the people who travel the country with the googly eyes and stick them everywhere, mostly in the RV laundries. Well, that would be doing it, yeah. Oh, there was something. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you guys. So, Marcon, back in its heyday, was really well known for its Babylon 5 tie-in. Because during that heyday, all of the actors and stuff used to come, and even JMS, the writer and creator of Babylon 5, used to come and give big speeches. Thousands of people would show up to see them and hang out with them. And so that was really one of its biggest followings. So there was some excitement there because of the upcoming reboot. If you didn't watch the original Babylon 5, and even if you're not into sci-fi, I would say that was a series that you might enjoy anyways, because it's got a good story arc to it, and almost like the science fiction part is less important than the actual talking points that happen throughout it, and the cultural references within it, and the actual story it's really quite good. Oh, and Sky's asking me when the B5 reboot is supposed to happen, and I believe it's next year. I don't know that it's really set in stone for next year, but I'm pretty sure that next year was what they've been touting. So, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it. I know there were people who were like, I don't want no reboot because retelling of the same story, how can it be as good as the first time around? And I don't hold those kind of things because there's no way with the reboot that it can be just the same story. It's going to have some new and different and innovation things. So I just feel like it's going to, and it's still J. Michael Straczynski, so I don't know. He's a pretty amazing storyteller. So I have some high hopes for it. I really feel like I'll enjoy it. Oh, Lisa's asking if Babylon 5 is on Netflix. They've started watching Deep Space Nine recently. So I don't think it is. I'll try and find out where it's currently streaming, and then I'll get that out to us. So. Oh, and Air Fry Nanny says they like to carry a plastic banana for scale. That's hilarious. That's like the greatest thing I've heard in a while. That's awesome. Hey, Sharon. I'm so glad to see you. Sorry we're near the end. You guys, I do think that I need to consider logging off and getting ready for bed. Like, I am a crispy critter. Like, I could just, like, curl up here on the studio and clunk right out. And that's with, like, half my disco pony down in me. I might finish it, but I don't know. I'm so tired. It really did throw me off kilter, which, we talk about that a lot in keto channels, how important your sleep cycles are. So it's really thrown me for a loop being off that cycle and staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning. I had the greatest time seeing people I hadn't seen in a while, but it did take a lot out of me. Let's see. Oh, and Sky said they were disappointed when Altered Carbon ended. I started watching it, and then I haven't finished it yet. It takes me forever to get through stuff because we don't watch a ton of TV. When we do, it tends to be like a binge, and we get in several episodes, and then we have to pause and stop for a while. Sky says I should pull an all-nighter. Yeah, I won't make it. I've had 2 late nights in a row. It's done. Oh, and Hungry Heath says they've started rewatching Bel Air and Young Rock they've started watching Bel Air and Young Rock on Peacock. Interesting. We don't have Peacock. We have Paramount Plus, we have Netflix, and we just switched our internet service, and the internet service came with a HBO Max. So we have HBO for a while, so everything we need to watch on HBO, we need to watch it before it becomes unbundled from the service. I don't know if it's because they didn't say it was limited, but I just have a feeling that sometimes stuff like that doesn't stay forever, so I want to make sure. Yep. Airfrying Auntie says they remembered they gave their plastic banana to Max Bear when they were in Utah 2 years ago. Oh, well, it's in a good place. Oh, Lisa says Babylon 5 is on HBO Max. That makes sense. Because I do believe I was watching it. I do rewatch it every few years. And I find that even after all this time, sometimes there are things that I missed the first time around. Oh. All right, guys. I do like you. And I know I've been ending early, but I kind of, it happens. There's no reason to worry about that. But I am a crispy critter, and I need to go to bed. I'm gonna have to clean some stuff up, of course, and finish my coffee beverage and all of that jazz, but I am ready. I'm gonna just put on my little heating pad and go to bed. So I will talk to you guys soon. And yeah, tomorrow's Monday, so and I even think that I don't have a meeting at 10 o'clock, so I'll see a bunch of you guys on Keto on the Couch. And I will post pictures of my savory bowl by Cristy Davis. So if there's anything else you need before I go, say now. Otherwise, I will just see you guys tomorrow. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.